2025. We had a chance to look over the minutes.
Move to approve. I will second that.
Okay, motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And we'll start with old business. Anybody have any old business to discuss?
Oh, I mentioned real quick, I have, and I'll send it on to LA and Morgan, the commitments on the 3-lot subdivision have been recorded. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, goodness. This is current, right? Okay.
Anything else?
Oh, there it is.
Anybody have anything else? Old business? Okay, we have new business. You said it's Eddie Santana?
Yeah, it's me.
Alrighty, nice to meet you.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys looking at that.
Okay.
So, and I have letters of intent if anyone would like to see them. I am the agent, the broker that represents the buyer and the seller for 316 Wood Street. The existing business there, the gentleman's using it basically for his roofing business. And the gentleman, well, the group that wants to buy it, it consists of 4 people. And they would like to, I try to define it as well as possible. They want to do repairs to their own trucks. They want to be able to replace tires. And they won't be keeping the tires there because, and I've asked them that specifically, I want to make sure it doesn't turn into a tire junkyard. They said they've got companies that would come and buy those and pick those up on a regular basis. They want to be able to eventually, not immediately, but eventually they want to use it as a truck terminal, be able to rent it for trucks to go there. They also want to be able to service their vehicles and service other vehicles there and off-site. So that's the general, and again, I have a detail for anyone who would like to see the letter of intent. But that's what they're asking for. I spoke to Brian, spoke to Jesse as far as they weren't sure if that fell under the new pretense of the I-1 and the I-2 zoning. And Holly, I believe Mr. House had mentioned that it does fall under I-1, which means it would need a variance if that is the case for at least some of these issues. And I don't know if there's any variances or any requirements that would be required for that variance as far as exterior paving, gravel, whatever that may be, that may be requested or required from this committee.
Well, I suggest we go through that, down through the list here, 1, 2, and 3, and ask questions. I have assigned it a use from the use matrix. I also consulted Brian Stump, and I got what he would classify it in the use matrix. And I agree with Brian Stump, and 2 of the uses would require a special exception, which is BZA approval. Now, I don't know what you're talking about, what needs a variance.
I'm not sure if a trucking terminal does it need a variance if it's an I-1. I believe that falls under I-2.
I have researched trucking terminal because that wasn't in your letter of intent.
Well, and the other thing, Jesse and I have looked at this quite a bit, and I did a lengthy memo to Jesse sometime back on some materials to add it. If you look at the permitted uses in the ordinance under I-1 or I-2, interestingly enough, there's not any perfect fit. There's no truck terminal mentioned, which is kind of odd.
Truck terminal, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I know that's what some counties will specifically call it, as far as being able to rent spaces for other trucks to be able to utilize the space. That's why we use the terminology truck permit.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that fits your.
Well, I mean, what I did point out that there are provisions that are close, and Jesse has identified those in the email that he circulated today, and I think Alan copied it and distributed it. There's vehicle storage, commercial establishment, etc. Frankly, if Brian says special exception, I like that approach better.
Special exception for 1 and 3. Yeah. Vehicle maintenance and repair. Let me read. You want me to read off what he said?
Yeah, sure.
Which Brian Stump's a consultant for us when we have questions. So just in case you're wondering who he is.
I've actually dealt with him on another job in Greenfield at
Yeah.
a hotel presenting.
Let me learn up his email here. Let's see.
Yeah, do you plan on any improvements on that building? I mean, have you really looked that building over?
And yeah, the building is definitely a little beat up, no doubt about that. I mean, if you're requiring, that's one of the things that's part of your requirement. I know the current owner, he did talk about putting like a metal face on some of that wood that's over there. He didn't do it, and I don't know what the buyer.
I mean, the building looks terrible.
It does.
I don't understand how you're going to get these semis in that building.
Well, so there's 3 parts to that building.
Right.
You have a main part that has like 18 inches of concrete in there with 2 doors that would allow the semis to be able to get in and out. Probably 1 full semi or several different cabs. The back part is nothing but just dirt.
Does that include trailers and?
I don't know.
The semis carry, semis haul trailers.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
They're going to be coming in there with trailers.
They haven't voiced to me if they want to be able to bring a trailer in. They would be able to get a trailer in 1 door, 1 full semi with the trailer itself, or several, maybe up to 3 different semis, but, so again, I'm not 100% sure. The fact that they're going to be replacing tires, it tells me they're probably going to want to bring the back end of those trailers in there. And they can bring them in from the 1 door, accessing it, 18-inch to the thick concrete. The back part, I don't think it would support the weight. It's just, and that's the part that looks the worst.
Yeah, that was never built for something like that.
Probably not.
It was a blood factory.
Yeah.
I mean, right now I would tell you what it would look like around there's a junkyard with that building and the way it looks. If you start just bringing trucks in there and working on them out here in the lot, and I know how that goes. If you don't have a facility you can get them through, you've got problems.
Let's just zoom out a little bit.
We'll require, if it's new owners, we're going to require a paved area, aren't we?
Yeah, that's to be talked about. I just want to get
Okay.
through the zoning.
Yeah, right.
We got to hash that out.
Well, let's get through that then.
And then we got a question where everybody's going to park.
Well, let's see what Brian had to say.
So on number 1, commercial vehicle storage, the permitted use table identified commercial vehicle storage as requiring special exception approval for the I-1 district. So for storage, you will need a special exception, which is BZA approval. Now, I sent you a copy of the book. There's a whole process to that you would have to follow. That's item 1 on your letter of intent. So there will be no approval by us to say, yeah, you can store vehicles. That would be a BZA process. Moving on to number 2, vehicle maintenance and repair. The letter notes this work will primarily occur indoors. The closest use listed in the permitted use table is auto service. heavy, which is permitted in the I-1 district. To qualify, all maintenance services would have to occur inside the building. I believe the letter says primarily indoors. It's going to have to be all totally indoors.
Okay.
So no working on things out in the yard.
According to Brian Stump, I haven't verified that in the book, but he's the one that wrote the book. So.
That's what it's saying.
Item 3 on the letter of intent, I had picked out something that I thought fit, but after talking with Brian Stump, here's what he says about 3, which I agree. Retail tire sales, the use described in the letter best fits in the wholesale trade and storage light category. This use requires special exemption approval.
BZA.
BZA. So items 1 and 2,
1 and 3.
or 1 and 3 would require EZA approval. Like, there's multiple uses that they want to do with this property, so.
Do I understand that you said that you would not recommend the approval for number 1, is that correct?
No, I said this board cannot approve number 1. That'll have to be a BZA.
So the recommendation comes from your, the approvals.
I don't know.
Actually, no, special exception. The way the statutory scheme in Indiana works, and this ordinance as well, because it complies with statute, is the Plan Commission is an advisory body to the legislative body, which is the town council. So it covers annexations, rezones, that sort of thing. Frankly, and somebody needs to give me a good map. I mean, one of the issues that we started out with is this in an I-1 or I-2 area? It is I-1. So that's somewhat helpful. The BZA, on the other hand, is a non-legislative body, but it's truly administrative in nature, and it can interpret the ordinance vary from the ordinance where proper foundation exists and so on. So a special exception, I mean, at least one thing you have going for you to a degree, the ordinance already includes the fact that a special exception is potentially available. And again, I sent you an email and copied a bunch of these pages. If you look at the chart and color coding, you know, P is a permitted use, S is special exception. And then if it's blank, it's not possible at all.
Yeah.
But you do fit, 2 seems to fit the I-1 under the existing ordinance without any further action. 1 and 2 require a special exception, and I certainly defer to Brian Stump's judgment because, as Jesse said, he is the primary consultant who helps develop this ordinance.
Do you feel that it's worth pursuit? Do you see reasoning? I don't like going down the road if I know.
Yeah, no, that's a very legitimate question. And my problem with trying to answer it is you're asking me to speculate about the state of mind of other individuals, okay? I mean, I will say this, if we go back there, the first observation one can make is this is certainly an area of heavy industrial use. So that's a plus. I can see the BZA just speculating a bit that they may require some fairly significant commitments that you might find to onerous in a financial sense. Take me up to the upper right-hand corner. You're good, on this building and a lot right there. What is that?
That's Arbor Homes.
Okay, good. See, yeah, now I can see the roof trusses. Well, and the thing you note immediately, though, the entire area is paved. And I would not be surprised, I think our current UDO does require hard surface throughout.
Is gravel considered sufficient as hard surface?
No.
No,
Okay.
it's got to be
Minimum asphalt.
concrete or asphalt.
Okay.
And again, with trucks, you know, you're going to have a solid base of stone and
One thing that operates into my mind solely, is I know this place very well, and I can assure you, if you're planning on pulling semis in there and working on them, you better rehab that building. If you got 4 investors, they better be putting some money in the game
well, they're for owners.
to make this work properly.
One thing too, the BZA has to take into consideration is the amount of traffic that'll be traveling down that. Is it, you know, can that road sustain all the trucks and everything that's gonna be going into that building? That'll be a consideration.
How much traffic do you expect?
I don't think it's going to be that much. My concerns would be more on the load once you actually get off the road. I think that's going to be more of an issue, because I don't.
How large is that property?
Excuse me?
How large is that property?
Oh, it's almost 9 acres total.
It goes back in the woods.
Yeah.
That's a better picture.
Are they going to clear some of the wood?
They do want to clear some of the location.
Okay.
But as you can see coming right off that road, that's where the concern is going to be, is that you know, that load, that's where I think if from your recommendation, which I can't disagree with on asphalt, that asphalt's going to have to come all the way out to that road.
Oh, yeah, you get rutted out in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I don't see where you're gonna, right now, park 10 to 15 trucks and trailers.
They're going to have to, well, I mean, now that's
The picture I got there.
Yeah, now, so all that adjoining in front of that, that's all part of that property. Right. Here, I'll show you. So the cell actually includes, sorry. Sorry. Okay, so it includes this lot and the other lot back there, which is total.
Yeah.
So this is the primary one. This is the area right here that's all CBS block.
Yeah.
This is the one that's in pretty bad condition that has just the OSB that's kind of raw, and it's the same way back here. So it's that main building that's useful. The 15 and 14 are also part of the cell.
Okay.
So I know they want to utilize that also.
Well, in the letter, they state, no further action will be initially taken to finish any surfaces to facilitate parking.
If it's your recommendation, that's what it is.
I don't get the recommendation.
Currently they would hope not to do that, but I would understand the board's recommendation before moving forward.
I think more clearly stated, under the UDO, which was approved July 2024, it's really not an option.
Okay.
I mean, the objective of the community, the BZA, the Plan Commission, which is always the case, and believe me, I'm on your side as much or more as this side, is upgrading the overall nature of the community. But as you can see, well, for instance, if we go, I think that's to the north, this looks like stone. Now, when that was done, that was no doubt in compliance with the ordinance, but that would be a grandfathered use. If it went away, if they made a material change, then they would have to install a hard surface. I mean, the other thing too is you need to consider drainage. If you do put asphalt or concrete, that's a non-permeable surface, and there's going to have to be some accounting for that. Now, I don't know the topography there. Is this pretty flat or what?
I haven't walked the property.
You come back to the south toward the rail, through that woods is up and down a little bit, but then there's a creek bed back in there.
Any oil spill will go to the
Yeah, everything goes to that creek
See
bed.
the creek.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything goes to the creek. So that would be a major concern.
So it's not really a recommendation, they'll have to pay parking. It's not a recommendation, they just have to do it.
It's part of the requirement.
All and any parking surface would have to be asphalt,
Correct.
and we would have to account for draining for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's something you're willing to do, but I totally understand why you would recommend that and why it's in the UDO.
Well, if you do, and I understand where you are, because like I say, I represent as many or more developers as anybody else. If you do decide to go forward, what I think you need to do, the letter of intent is helpful. I mean, I said, develop a letter of intent so we have a better idea of what is actually intended here. But really, a site plan for submission to the BZA would be useful that delineates what would be paved, how the parking would be marked, how much parking is available, and so on. I mean, these sorts of things, I've got one tomorrow night in Hancock County. It's parking, maintenance, etc. In Hancock County, we just get put through the ringer. So, I mean, all the paving and the drainage and you know, it's certainly doable, but I can see an investment of several $100,000. I
Just in
mean,
the asphalt, correct?
well, yeah, I mean, the last asphalt lot that I was involved with, it didn't seem all that big to me. It was $74,000. So, gee.
Okay. If they were to understand the terms to move forward, would we be able to put enough together for the next meeting in June? That they're just trying to figure out when can they close, you know, to get
You know, I mean,
phase one environmental study done.
it depends on, you know, I'm going to say that, yeah, you can probably get together what you need. I would work with either an engineering firm or a land surveyor, yeah, to do a site plan layout. Site plan layout doesn't have to be perfect. It's conceptual. But, I mean, I honestly think the way you need to account for detention and probably a detention or retention pond that's released into that creek, you're going to have to cover containment of any spills, oil, etc. So again, I don't think this ordinance is quite as onerous, but under a lot of ordinances in other locales, not only would you have to pay, but you would have to curb that parking so you control runoff.
It says you gotta have curved.
Okay, well, there you go.
And you can read that book on, you know, on parking.
I don't think I have the full UDO, I just have the pages for.
Well, but I sent you information.
Oh, you got a link?
Yeah, it's on the town's website.
I'll follow that up. Okay. Thank you, appreciate it. Okay.
Okay.
I think that's all I have. I mean, at this point, I'm just going to go back to them and ask them if they're willing to incur the cost to get that done. Because I agree, it's probably going to be a couple $100,000. I've got a property right now I just bought up in Yorktown. It's a small little lot, and it's $35,000 for asphalt on that.
Yeah.
With drainage, so I get it. Not cheap. Okay.
Thanks, Danny.
Well, thank you guys.
Thank
you.
Anything else, any other suggestions you guys have for me, or?
I think that just to encapsulate this, special exception on 1 and 3 would be required. Ordinance will require paving for parking. If you're going to go to the BZA, you should have a site plan that's reasonably definitive that delineates the parking, delineates drainage, and so on.
And it would include a curb, and perhaps a retention pond.
Exactly. I mean, that's where you need an engineer. I'm just
Yeah,
speaking
I
from my
agree. Yeah, we're going to need
experience.
a civil engineer to get involved in this thing.
But look at the UDO too to clarify everything. I mean, I don't have it
If
memorized.
you look at one of my emails, I direct you right to the link, and Ellen can help you too. It's all there. All
Any
right?
question I got,
Yes, sir.
if you're only gonna work on one truck at a time and it fits in the building, and you've got 15 parked out there to work on, how are we gonna keep that from happening?
Well, I mean, that's a requirement of the ordinance. It has to be internal, and if there's a violation.
They're gonna have to, yes, they're gonna have to understand if that's the case, then they need to either repair that building so that it can take more,
Yeah.
or they're gonna have to have another building constructed. And appropriate parking for it, that would be my thought. And I can't, other than policing it when it happens, I mean,
Well, that's a problem the town has.
yeah.
You start doing that outside, we're not gonna be sitting out there watching,
Then it becomes an issue.
Yeah, I get it.
so.
Yeah. And I'll make sure to mention that. You know, if they want it, you've got a lot of land there that's good government land. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, the money's not in the building, the money's in,
Right.
and the zoning, obviously, you know. Preferred an I-2 over an I-1, but, you know, it is what it is.
What is the total acreage?
It's just 8.81, I believe. Is there any I-2 around there that you would even consider, so there's no consideration for an I, that'd be a spot?
I don't see any I-2 on the map.
Okay.
You would think Bungie would be I-2,
Well,
but,
that's another weirdness.
yeah, I know.
We need to address, and that's what the confusion, well, not confusion, but what initially, we have to take that out with Brian.
See, originally Morristown just had industrial.
Yeah.
There was no I-1,
And
I-2.
that wasn't that long
So
ago,
when-
when I looked at it, it was strictly one zone.
So, but when we voted in the new UDO, they assigned everything that was industrial to I-1. They didn't split it up,
Yeah, okay.
which, you know, I don't know why they didn't, you know.
Yeah, it seems to operate more as an I-2, that's why I was surprised it was actually an I-1 in there. But, you know, it is what it is. The whole thing's an I-1. I know the spot zone and I-2 in there for us.
Because that would be a spot zone.
Yeah, I would.
But, I mean, as a general proposition, I think it's worth considering dividing out some I-2.
We can always have Brian Stump come in here and, I mean, that's out of my expertise. I
I get it.
don't know.
All right, well, anyway, I hope that's some helpful guidance.
It is, thank you, guys. I appreciate
And
it.
I have interfaced with Abby before, and I find him to be a professional and honorable guy. Does a lot of development stuff.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I represent both parties, so that does help.
Yeah.
So I can communicate this to both sides, and I don't have to liaison through another broker.
Okay.
So, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the next thing on the agenda, we have landscaping, says chapter 6, page 13.
We can skip that tonight.
All right,
We can skip it tonight.
that, okay.
Well, yeah.
All righty.
Well, there's
We got
so
other
much-
people.
Other people can.
All right.
We can try to come back to it if we're done early enough, but
Okay,
it's nothing important, so
okay.
if that's okay with you.
That's fine? Yep. Is that okay with everybody? Okay. Next thing on the agenda is legal, Brian?
I have nothing to add other than at some point that we have discussed buffer zone, that would be a petition initiated here to go to the county commissioners. And so if we want to start that process, we should do so at least by motion to proceed, and I'll develop a proposed petition and so on.
In regards to the
Buffer zone for,
The 2 mile.
2 mile
Yeah.
buffer.
I mean, this is all a part of it. Quick recap, since there's been some. This is a strategy to address the issues that were created when the county amended its comprehensive plan. And this is an effort on the part of Morristown, it wouldn't be an effort, to continue to exert more control over future development.
Offset or Shelbyville, all these places have them now.
Yeah.
think we need to go, we need to get going on the,
Because
what we need, because we're gonna finish up we're working on our new plan.
our comprehensive plan, that way we'll have it
Yeah,
in
that's
place.
all part.
We wanna have that part of that as soon as
So I
possible.
would suggest that someone move to authorize council to begin the process of developing a petition to the county commissioners to seek extraterritorial planning authority.
Second.
Okay, so we have Larry, Dave. You all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, so moved.
I'll have something for the next meeting.
Cool.
Alrighty. Anything else, Brian?
No.
Okay. Now we have miscellaneous, Doug and Edson. Would you like to speak?
Yeah, we're just seeking approval for a RV carport, a little bit larger main one.
Okay. You guys aware of the new UDO book?
Yeah.
It falls within the parameters of the carport, does?
It was kind of gray area there. I need a little bit further explanation of the parameters, I guess. We look online and, not knowing this world, I'm not sure I'm reading it right.
Let me look it up.
Yeah, I didn't know about this.
A small paragraph I saw on it, there wasn't much really read about carports.
It just says carports, accessory uses and structures. Carports must be consistent in design and appearance and materials with the principal building. Carports must be used for vehicle parking.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's it.
Pretty much it. That's pretty cut and dry.
What's already there? The white roof.
If I can get up, I'll.
Sure.
I'll point out. So here's a barn, 30 by 40 barn. Of course, here's the house. And right here is the existing mini barn, which is about ready to fall over. And it's only like 8 by 12 or something, maybe. It's pretty small. So we want to get rid of that. And we want to, this is stone right here that sets on, from probably by here to here is stone. We want to buy a pre-made 12 by 24, I believe it is. Well, basically, right down the road. Buy one of their barns, and get rid of this, put that new barn, the 12 by 20, in the same location. Then on top of that, we're doing this for Larry, because when he was at his front door, he's my big old ugly RV, so I need to get down and play for him.
All Larry's fault.
We have a big motor home that we have in our driveway currently now. What we want to do is put a RV carport basically behind this barn. And the carport would be 20 wide, 40 long, 14 tall. And all it is a carport. It's, the sides will come down about halfway. There would be no garage door, nothing. It won't be, it won't be a permanent structure.
A roof.
Yeah, it'd be a roof. Something just house the RV. That's all it is. Keep the sun off of it, protect our investment. That's all we're looking for. Nothing to work out of, nothing more elaborate than just keeping, weather off our vehicle. But another thing that we were really wondering about, we would like to do, which question we had earlier when you brought it up with the commercial aspect of it, only asphalt or concrete's acceptable nowadays. Is that commercial only, or is that just in
Residential,
Morristown
commercial.
period? Okay. It's okay. What would, if we were to put in, we were going to put in a stone drive through here, but if it didn't go all the way out to the road, would it still be considered a drive, and would it have to be paved or?
It's a drive.
But it wouldn't hit the road.
But it's a drive.
Yeah, but it wouldn't.
There's a manhole out there too in the middle.
I'll go back behind the manhole, you know what I mean? But what would be the difference you know, it's not hitting, it's not linking to the road.
That's kind of like tongue in cheek and look the other way though.
Well, you know, we gotta do what we gotta do, because it's behind too. It's not like it's out here. A lot of the stuff in person is kind of hidden behind trees. This is not something that's gonna be an eyesore in any way. It's just, we got a 30,000-pound vehicle that we want moved from here to here, and it kind of concerns me. This right here, we want to gravel this also. That is one thing. We want to gravel this pad here, put that on. So this is going to be gravel. We just want to re-gravel this. That footprint will be pretty much the same. But behind here will be a 20 by 40 footprint, basically, here. But we just want to keep these, not knocking the trees down, just run a driveway, just try to do something to keep our RVs from sticking into the mud.
I think those are, I saw something here.
Well, I talked to you on the phone, right?
Yeah, that's the thing too, is I looked for driveways and things like that. I just did not see anything that really spelled that out. And what would define a road or a driveway? I would assume it connects to the road. Main road.
Yeah, I
If
mean,
not, it's just dirt work on mine. It's just something part of my property here. I mean, you know, if it hooked to the main road, I would.
If you're going to drive out there, you're going to pour an approach out there, you're going to do it just like any, well, that's what you're going to do to hook to that road.
Well, that's why I didn't have plans on it. This is not something that's going to be moved 30 times a month. It's something, you know.
Right,
when
but
we go
doesn't
vacation,
there-
it might
doesn't
be once or 5 times a year.
There's rules, and right back there where you live, if you got 20 other houses, they have to follow the rules too.
Well, I understand the rules. I try to follow them. That's why I'm here. So.
But we're not trying to follow the rules because you're not taking the driveway to the street.
Okay, so no driveway at all, right? Is that what you're saying?
Well-
Hanging on the cars?
well, when I talked to you, this is like my first time looking that up. And what I didn't tell you, and I just now saw it the other day, is, so item 5, driveways, drive aisles, and parking spaces must be surfaces with asphalt, concrete, or similar material. I did not see item 7, which says residential driveways. A residential dwelling unit is limited to one driveway with a maximum width of 20 feet measured in the right-of-way line. The thing I did not see is one driveway. I did not tell you that because I honestly did not know. So I apologize.
Why wouldn't you try and swing around the barn rather than have another access point? Because you've got a drive that complies, I think. I don't know how wide it is, so I can look at the pickup truck. And
What do you mean, like coming in through, like through here or something like this, or what?
Yeah.
yeah, essentially,
Well, it's a 40-foot RV.
It's a big bird.
Yeah, just the actual, yeah.
Like Happy's garage.
Yeah, it's big, so, yeah, I'd even thought about putting something here on the side, you know, but to me, at that point, put it here on the side, it turns out to me to be kind of an eyesore. I really don't want something out front like that, it just doesn't really look appealing. Behind here kind of hides it.
where's it parked now?
Right here on the driveway, right by here, right by where that white truck is.
Where I normally would park.
Yeah, where we were parked. So, you know, I thought about, see, how much am I looking at? Yeah, I thought about even over here, but that's another eyesore issue, but again, that'd be a driveway. So, yeah, I guess no one driveway, I guess that's it.
My question is this something that he could apply for a variance for?
Why don't you extend the
Driveway here. That's what he was saying. Put it there, but it's so big, it ain't, to bring it here, to bring it out here, to have a park here, is that what you're saying?
Bring your drive in around there.
Driveway here?
Yeah.
Expand the whole drive if you wanted to over here. Just have the whole driveway here.
Remember, he's got his 20-foot limitation on his curb cut.
Yeah, and that's probably $40,000. So, you gotta think a little bit realistic. I love my RV, but not quite that much. I can buy an RV for what I take to pay for that.
No problem with the building.
My variance would be,
I don't know if that's even possible.
Well, and I didn't bring my entire ordinance with me this evening, and I can't shoot from the hip on that, I got
I-
to look at it.
I looked up variance. Let me bring that up.
Like I said, this is something that probably be moved maybe 5-6 times a year, so it's not a high traffic thing. And I'm just trying not to have it, I'm just trying to tuck it away where it's look at, you know, of course, yeah, we can throw it out here, but I don't think my neighbors want to see that either with a big building.
I think it defeats the purpose of what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Okay, use variance. A use variance allows the establishment of a use that is otherwise prohibited in the zoning district due to special circumstances applicable to the property.
See, that's always the hang-up, is.
That's where I mean, like, it's almost anything in the book that doesn't follow the book would be good for a variance. the way that's
Well,
written.
no,
No.
I said the last,
Well, that's the way I understand it. I'm not saying, I'm
no,
not,
I get it.
I'm not an attorney. so-
Well,
Here's one other thing I want to add too. I really don't really care if it even hooks to the road. And the main reason why, I probably wouldn't even prefer to hook to the road, because all that's going to do is put gravel in the road and cause disturbance and.
Break up your asphalt.
Yeah, I just rather just my preference is to have a, I don't know, 10, 15 foot section of grass.
But you got a sewer main down there, Doug.
Yeah.
That's gonna have to be concrete around the sewer main, or it can move.
I don't know.
They just done the locates on it 2 days ago, so they told me.
I don't know, I mean, that's just moving the driveway slightly over. Is there a certain amount of feet from that manhole that would have to?
You wouldn't have to be, it's just not over, where you're pulling in on it.
I can't pull in on it.
Right.
I think I can have enough room to get over towards the east to be able to accommodate that.
can you zoom out?
I would have to double check that.
Now?
It was just brought to my attention the other day, that wasn't gonna work.
I had wondered that too when I saw it, so I didn't want to drive over there either. I don't know what kind of damage, but yeah.
Where are we at? Okay, there we are.
But I would have to double check so much room I have.
Okay, and again, I'm just raising questions. That looks like a platted subdivision, because you've got a detention pond in the middle of a bunch of lots. What is the nature of this development? I mean, is there an HOA, or are there covenants?
There's no HOA,
No covenants?
just a subdivision.
Okay. When was it developed?
My house is built in '77, so I don't know.
I think you were one of the first.
A lot of them was in the.
You were like one of the first.
Most of them were in the 90s up to 2000.
No, '77.
Isn't that ballpark?
Yeah, because Laura's house was built in 70, you said 77, I think hers was built in 79. Mine came along like 83.
Mine probably was the first one.
You were one of the first ones.
You was a co-pack lived there.
Oh, yeah, I saw that on mine.
Yeah.
You got a nice large lot, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think it's equivalent to 2 lots, I believe. I don't know, I'm not sure.
It's like mine, I've got 2 lots.
Yeah.
Where are you, Larry?
This is all the side for Larry.
Oh, my
You're right
goodness.
across the street.
This is me here.
Oh, you got both of those, okay.
Yeah.
Property lines are in my garage. Lot line.
Well, I can't opine without further review of the UDO whether a variance would work.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking you.
Now, I will say this, and I've mentioned this before, the issue with variances is, and I always refer to the case about the reverse pie-shaped lot, is it rests upon something unique about the property. Now, I can make arguments either way. Since we have a UDO that essentially restricts a residential lot to one driveway, that precludes an additional drive, and maybe that's a unique circumstance. So
But yet it still has to be paid.
it has to be fixed.
The position of the buildings is not an issue. The size of the buildings is not an issue. It's a matter of how they get to it,
Right.
being the elephant.
Yeah, I mean,
Does
you
a
know,
circle driveway count as one driveway?
pardon me?
Does a circle driveway count as one driveway?
So in other words, you have a half moon and it
Yeah.
accesses the street on each end.
Yeah.
Interesting point. Again, that would be a grandfathered non-conforming use under this current ordinance.
You would need 2 permits from the state to enter your driveway, because it connects to 52 2 places. So you need 2 permits from the state to do it.
If you're hooking up to a state road.
But if you're just hooking up to Locust Street, you don't need 2 permits from the state to do that.
He could take the driveway, and if he hooked to the other driveway and could get around there, he would be fine.
That's a hell of a swing.
I got no one dealing with it.
He's swinging.
I can drive it okay, but you know, pulling in my yard, backing out is a whole new ballgame.
Oh, man.
Straight in, straight out is preferred, I guess, but.
Is your motivation entirely the desire to get it under a roof for preservation purposes?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it really is. You know, sun and weather just, it's one of these things.
I think I would be inclined to park it where it is and get a custom cover for it, which the fabric cover, I mean,
Yeah, well, that sounds easier than,
Those are dangerous as hell.
and they just destroy the thing too.
well, I
Put
don't.
150 pounds.
The wind that blows through that area.
Yeah.
Well, you
It's
got
broke down, got brand new covers,
I've had
just didn't see the
but
reason.
you
But it's the
got
whole,
to strap it down underneath the thing very
I
tight.
had a cover, I did it 1 year now.
and another thing too, is getting access to our driveway. I've got almost, I can't remember, close to an acre and a half or 1.2 acres. And it'd be nice to utilize some of my yard
The other thing is,
property.
where you approach the road, I don't care what you're doing on the road. I see a vehicle going across there. We just went through this in town with a guy here on South Street. You have to put an approach to that road.
I got a stupid idea.
I understand it.
Well, if you got rid of this right here entirely, made your entrance right here, then you split it.
Ooh. Why did you think that was stupid?
I don't know.
That's a good idea.
Maybe it's a good idea. I don't know.
So we haven't really, you know, the entrance there.
I know it sucks. Get rid of that entrance, make one
Right in
entrance,
here.
or down here.
So like branch.
You could fork it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you just went to about,
Meh.
50,000.
Meh.
Yeah, 70, yeah. Then I'll probably cut some trees down too. is what
Just
I
a
have.
drop in the bucket. Come
Yeah.
on.
I can buy an RV, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
I guess, I don't know. Okay. I have no other word to, I just want to get out my driveway, get more use of my driveway, utilize my, you know, yard that I have. Kind of hide it a little bit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
storage,
mm-hmm.
go North Street. Go to North Street, there's a storage property there, you could, if you want to get off the property, that'd be, I'm just throwing something out there, is that, right there, the orange buildings, orange roofs right there, and isn't there storage back there?
Yeah, they wouldn't accommodate anything that big.
Really?
We looked into a lot of storage places around the area, and,
It would cost us more to store it for the year than it would to have
Really?
carport put up, yeah.
Really?
Oh, man.
they're about $500 a month.
Oh!
That was loud. Sorry. I am in the wrong business.
You know, one day before 50, that seemed like a deal.
I only have one RV, I don't have multiple, just no extra one RV. Okay, all right, so the driveway thing's
I'm
included.
buying some.
Plan B for me.
Well,
B.
one other quick question.
Okay.
I mean, is there some reason why you wouldn't want to park it along along the side of the barn rather than behind the barn?
Because it's seen from the street.
Has anybody complained about that though? I mean, you see RV parked by houses all over the place.
Just,
He's not liking it aesthetically.
I just don't, to me, it would be an eyesore. I guess I'm just overly sensitive to that kind of stuff. Especially when I have an option to be able to park it behind the barn where you want to see it.
We got eyesores all over town.
I know.
He doesn't want to be one of them.
OCD, I guess.
Well,
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
that's certainly a worthy observation. But how many times do you see an RV parked right next to the garage?
There's one right over here.
That being said, I do have to tear that tree down, which is not a huge thing. I'll probably have to add the asphalt to attach it. Then on top of that, I will have a 20 wide, 40 foot long, 14 foot
Canopy.
tall.
Canopy.
Yeah, canopy sitting there, so it'll be, it'll have a pretty large presence.
Well, I just throw that out because it's a law. It avoids all of the access. You still have to do some paving, but it's a fraction of what.
Right, yeah, it wouldn't be much. And I can actually just set it on asphalt. Well, even that cost, though, it's amazing, I bet that's at least 10 grand from there to where the RV would sit.
Yep.
Okay. I'm trying to think. Might be a little harder than you did that. If I'm not mistaken, this is open. You're open on this side. Is there fencing?
Yes.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind. I thought there was, I just can't see it and I can't think about it.
Yeah, not fine over there. Only other option I was willing to risk was just have the approval to put the pad out, put the awning, the carport out, the larger barn, and just not drive through there on a rainy day or when it's soggy, and take my chances to get from the road to not go over the manhole. Like to get from the road to the gravel portion and just park it there. Again, this is not something that's going to be heavily traveled.
You do that.
There's nothing that says you can't.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not aware of anything in UDO and you already established there's no restrictions in this development. Hey, put a carport up, big carport, no problem, no prohibition. There's nothing necessarily that requires a drive to a carport. And I, again, have to look at that, but.
I mean, the carports can be used for different things, so you wouldn't have to.
Yeah.
So it seems to me if you put a pad behind the barn and put your carport up, you're good. You're just gonna have to be, as you say, careful on your ingress and egress as to when you can do that.
As far as the barn goes, does it require a permit going from a small barn to a larger barn? Like, again, I'm going from a small barn to a 12 by 24, no, 12 by 20, I keep saying 12 by 20.
Oh, you're talking about the little barn right
Shed.
there.
Shed.
Yeah, again, it's portable, it's not gonna be, you should.
I know.
The setbacks. We need to know how far off the property line that you're. I don't know what that zone, so I'd have to research.
I had talked to the school about this, because we want to do something about this fence that goes to nowhere. And so we're gonna put it, basically though, it's gonna be right there on the property line, because we don't want to go out here any further, so.
So how far is this right here?
Is that just distance from the barn to here?
Yeah.
12 foot maybe?
Okay.
But again, we'll take that up with the longer barn.
What was it originally zoned, because it's probably not changed if you look on the old map record.
Subdivision residential.
Urban residential.
I'd have to look that up real quick. There's like a matrix table of, Yeah. It won't be as fast as I think it'll be.
You want a picture of it?
Zoom out a little bit.
Zoom out?
Yeah, get the pond in there, just a picture of that if you can. A little tighter.
Okay, suburban residential is now,
If I go in, it's gonna be probably almost backwards.
it's R1.
You on the track,
Yeah, I don't want the track.
R1.
Yeah.
Okay, so you
Let me
can't
go
count
back
that.
and look at
Yeah.
That one there's fine.
It's only 15-foot setback.
That's for personal.
Yeah, I don't have it memorized, but I can look real quick.
When you talk about setback, is that from the road or just property line?
Property
From the
line.
property line.
You have to build so far off the property line.
So with it being removable or portable structure, does that change anything?
You're asking a question, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying, it's something that's not permanent.
Well, if you're like 12 feet now, you're talking 3 feet.
I don't know. I mean, let me see what the,
I mean, it's something they could slide in on a truck and, you know.
Joe, we were just replacing one that's about to pull down.
now we
We're trying to
just,
help the neighborhood out.
so we just went through this with up there on 52, Brian.
Mm-hmm. In my head it's 15.
He couldn't meet the setback, he didn't need a variance because he's just replacing.
He stays on the same footprint.
That's
Yeah,
what we're gonna do.
It was a little bit bigger, but it's followed the,
Follow the
Right,
line,
right.
follow the line. So if he does that, he's okay.
well, it's kind of what we said for
Yeah,
Brian.
should be.
well, and the other question I
Which one
have
gets the
in
road?
my mind too is,
We got a precedent.
and again, I gotta look at the UDO, I can't believe I had it laying on my desk and hustling out of the office. Whether the setbacks apply to every structure or simply the primary structure. 'Cause, you
Well, if he
know,
keeps on the line he's on now.
He should
Should
be
be.
violation.
That's true, but what he said is he wanted to have it closer to the property line.
Well, the overall length of the building is considerably larger than what we currently have. So right what we have currently now, I didn't measure it, but I think it's 12 foot. I think we're going to 20 foot.
It's gonna be either an R1, R2,
I see 15.
and R2 is 20.
15.
He's done R1, so it'd be 15, right?
R1 is 30 for rear setback.
But that's, is this the rear or side?
I wouldn't see that.
Side,
Probably
they
front.
consider it side 15.
Yeah.
So he just needs to be 15 feet off the property line.
Yeah. Which, it's 12 feet, kind of the same scenario that we had with Brian
He
a
could
couple weeks ago.
maintain 12 feet, but he can't go any closer.
Yeah.
And I know you don't want to go further into your lot, but that's kind of the option you got. The 12, you're only adding another 8 feet.
I mean, that's what it is.
Well, I'm just saying the
Yeah.
building's only 8 foot longer than what's existing.
And for where it's at, you're not infringing upon anybody.
Right.
You're up against athletic field.
Right, yeah, and again, that's a consideration.
Well, I think the only way, like, if you wanted to build on the property line, you'd have to get a variance, a use variance.
Yeah, see, in the last case, the reason we didn't require anything is because we couldn't tell if there'd ever been any setbacks there. In other words, it was, the structure had been in place so long.
Yeah, well, that shed's probably in the same boat.
Yeah.
It's been there since 79 or.
Well, I wonder if when they platted the subdivision, generally plats of a subdivision will contain setbacks. And you either need to comply with the plat setbacks or the setbacks established by ordinance.
That was under the white book.
Yeah. And so I don't know, what does the white book say about setbacks?
It was similar to what we have now.
Yeah, so when,
Well, I mean, the simple solution is within your new building, don't let it extend any closer to the property line than the existing structure, and unfortunately, you're gonna go another 8 feet into your lot, but that doesn't seem too bad to me, because it's a very nice large lot. And no action required.
That's good.
You just,
Does that work for you?
I mean, I guess that's a option, I guess. I was thinking I might just turn the building around, facing the other side. Because the thing about it, it sounds pretty trivial, but to move it 8 foot into my lot further, it's a big lot, and when I do yard work and things like that, I drive my truck or whatever through there to grab limbs, and I'm in and out.
Okay.
kind of OCD.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm getting old, man, I gotta do that.
If you reorient the building,
That's still the same as what Brian was
yeah,
doing.
Just move the other side this way, instead of this way.
Maintain that same line.
And it needs to be 12 foot, was that the?
Well, you, 15 foot is, but you said it's
we'll let you know whatever you've got there, whether, it might be 15 feet. But if you reorient with your new building and maintain it parallel to your property line, you're good.
All right, so back to the ORV pad. Is that a yay on that one, Brogan?
I mean, you got it.
I don't see an issue with it. I mean,
Should work.
Have a restriction.
Pardon me?
Should work.
Yeah, okay.
So, okay, then what kind of permits or fees or things are associated with this? Oh, you said nothing, okay, Les. I will be out of
$1
here.
million.
Table to me.
Cash in the-
Really, I don't know.
I don't know offhand, but if you're just bringing in a shed that's on a skid, what is that, Elaine? I don't know.
Is it anything over 250 square
Yes.
feet requires a permit?
Yeah.
Well, 12 by 20, is that what you said? 240?
So then you
So
don't.
you're just,
That's good.
Right there, squeeze
yes.
it. Yeah, so save money.
Yeah.
So do you consider a carport an accessory structure?
Aren't they like portable?
Yeah.
I mean, they're portable. You can be moved out tomorrow.
Yeah, you slide this way.
And it's not considered,
Not like-
there's no permit.
It's done like a foundation.
No, nothing.
You sit around the ground, you make a concrete base, level it off, and, not concrete, I'm sorry,
Stone base.
stone base.
To me, it's
I
portable.
saw what you were talking about. I was up there the other day. It's got a metal frame on the base and
Yeah, right, yeah, for the arch of the carpet.
for the carport. Yeah.
They put anchors there, and it's supposed to be good for 100 mile an hour or something like that. and-
As long as it's blowing that way, don't be blowing my way.
Hit the garage before you went.
Those carports are all engineered, like, they're,
Yeah, they're pretty tough.
Even more so for Indiana, as they like Florida, because of the snow and
Yeah.
tornadoes.
yeah.
How do we do that if someone wants to put a carport like that on the front of their building, like in the future?
In front of their building?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, we do this here, when someone asks to do it,
It's been done. It's already been done.
We're saying our new UDO, we just want to make sure that people can't.
Well, it fell in for hearts, didn't it?
Yeah, that was the old book.
Yeah, we can have Airbnb all over.
You call that a building?
Pretty much.
So I don't think you can place a building in front of your home.
I'm just saying, acres on the side,
We're down by the
concrete
liquor store, just
pad,
next door to Mike here. Have a liquor store.
Oh, that's a research, yeah.
So they used to be-
It's not a drive.
It's not a drive aisle. I mean, what's it say, the definition?
I just want to make sure, what we do for one, we do for all.
Yeah.
And people are going to come in.
Well, if you read number 5, there's your answer, number 5.
What's 5?
So you gave permission for something you can't do.
5.
Yeah.
driveways, drive aisles, parking spaces.
I'm on the wrong thing.
Well, or similar materials to provide durable industrial service. Gravel driveways and drive aisles, but see, it's not a driveway or drive aisle.
So you got parking space.
Yeah, I know.
So I don't know, however you guys want to define it.
Unless approved by the administrator.
The administrator, the only thing I can
Yeah.
approve is for agriculture.
Or temporary.
I mean, it
I
takes,
love the parking spaces.
it takes away my ability
Well,
to,
I kind of thought he was going to do a concrete or asphalt pad, but
it takes away from my ability to change
I
it.
get it, I understand.
I have to go by the wording.
Are you doing an asphalt pad?
No, it's just a gravel pad.
I mean, I guess, you know,
So we might have an exception, is that, I missed the whole thing.
An aisle.
Yeah, I lost track.
So, parking services, families.
Number 5 is displayed services, parking, streets, alleys, sidewalks, or public.
it says I can approve,
And then if it were temporary or agricultural operations,
it says I can approve the use of permeable surfaces such as, it says such as, pervious concrete, porous asphalt, and concrete or plastic grid pavers. It says such as. I don't know, you're in, I don't know what to do. I mean, it just basically says parking spaces, so, you know. Put some couple pavers down and park it on pavers, 4 tires on the pavers, and maybe that's, I don't know. But the gravel, I don't know, man. I mean, that's what the book says.
Where are you at?
Well,
Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
The,
I got it finally.
it's chapter 6,
Yep, I'm on
page
it.
20,
Yeah.
number 5.
Surface asphalt, concrete, similar material.
Well, that's kind of interesting, because generally speaking, what you want to encourage is permeable surfaces, because that alleviates
Runoff.
the drainage consideration.
Previous parking spaces, post-construction, strong runoff. There, it says it right there. Yeah.
You know, you could,
May approve use of permeable surfaces, porous asphalt, permeable interlocking concrete pavers, and concrete or plastic grid pavers.
I mean, I think some hard surface for the wheels, which you'd probably want anyway. I mean,
Yeah, so they could roll in and roll in with them.
gravel, it would settle over time.
Get a mud hole over time.
Yeah. But I mean, you could use pavers, you could use all sorts of things.
so what if you were to put pavers down and
Well, you
gravel
used to see
around
that,
it?
well, you know, go back 75, 80 years, you saw a lot of driveways where you
Yeah.
had 2 paved
Pave.
lines and grass in between.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, there's some return to that in some areas, not around here, but West Coast and places like
Mexico, big time.
Is Shannon doing it? He's concrete, man. He can fix it too.
I don't think we're that close.
But I mean, that meets the ordinance, that probably wouldn't be cost prohibitive, there's some expense, but.
Yeah, because just concreting at 20 by 40.
No, just for your, just for your tires.
We're not talking to the whole concrete.
So the pad itself, where the carport go, you're saying having pavers in there where it's at?
Well,
Pretty much. So
Where
you're driving
the
on,
wheels are.
where your wheels are, just your wheels.
The rest of it grass.
yep.
Grass or
That way
gravel.
You've got no.
Grass or gravel.
Yeah,
Grass or gravel.
because I guess technically,
In other words, that's rough, but I mean.
Yeah, right, but-
Grass, and then you've got two.
So I hit the pavers.
You're meeting the requirement of the ordinance that way.
Now recognize too, I mean, this is a protracted discussion, you know, the ordinance is new to this community and there will be little kinks and things that will work out over time. But this ordinance is pretty much state of the art.
It's, I mean,
You know,
that's the part I hate. People tell people you can't do that, you can't do that, that's the part I hate.
to have a paver to support that kind of weight, it's going to have a gravel base. You know, some kind of sturdy base, so I'm just putting a strip of gravel just to put pavers on and seems kind of, I don't know, kind of odd. Then I'm trying to hit that path.
Keep it from rutting it out.
With RV. So,
You'll get good at it.
huh?
You'll get good at it.
Yeah.
He's really good at maneuvering that thing right now, I don't know.
Yeah. It's just,
What the hell is plastic red tape?
I mean, it's 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're late.
so the gravel's still kind of gray area there. Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, gravel is not a gray.
It's a hard no. That's what we're trying to work around that with the paver idea. I think if you put the pavers on top of the stone, you're gonna be hitting it.
I think it'd be cheaper, actually, just pour two concrete.
Then you just gotta mow them every now and then, if you just do it in grass.
Tell Mark give you a good deal.
Yeah, that's bad thing about it too is, again, this OCD thing, is when we have a 20 by 40 awning over a grassy area with started out as a grassy area.
Yeah.
And then all the way up to two concrete strips, my RV sitting on, everything else is pretty much dead.
Yeah.
And it looks horrible, so that cosmetically, that just really wouldn't suit what I'm going at.
Mm-hmm.
I feel you.
Well, here's my sense, okay, and again, I will say for the 90 millionth time, I don't make policy decisions for any of these funds. You're good on your barn, table this, let's talk to Brian Stump,
Okay.
because my personal view is a complete prohibition against anything other than asphalt or concrete does tie your hands significantly in some respects where, now, I mean, again, it's case by case. You don't want a guy parking semi-cabs on grass. You know.
Like on our street over here.
You could amend it to where the planning commission,
Yeah, I mean, again,
Can make change.
the important point here is I'm actually surprised
Table
you
it.
do it around 5 or 6 times a year.
Make a motion table it on that.
I'll second that.
Yeah, well, we do drag racing and things like that.
Okay,
so
all
usually
right,
all
so
my
you-
All right,
yeah.
we got a motion, table it, and a second till next meeting, okay?
Let's do your barn and we'll follow up.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
On opposed?
All right.
I'll move to
Appreciate your help,
adjourn.
guys.
Motion to adjourn? Larry.
Yeah.
All right, you guys out. See ya. Next meeting.